areas in the district.
Yeah, that's funny how that happens. Well, those are just a few examples of the types of crimes that we've been seeing here in the nation's capital recently. And no, after the fact juvenile curfew zones that police have intermittently established, they're not the answer. We need real consequences for real criminals to send a real message. Now, you're going to hear from Democrats that crime is down, but here's the kicker. D.C. officials have apparently been manipulating the numbers, ever heard of that, to make it look like the situation is really improving. NBC4 in Washington reported that a high-ranking D.C. police commander, Michael Pulliam, was placed on administrative leave after being accused of helping fudge the department's crime stats. Now, according to the police union, officials inside the MPD deliberately altered the data to make it appear that crime had gone down when the truth was anything but. Now, our capital city, and I've lived in D.C., I lived in D.C. for about 30 years. This should be a showplace. It should be a shining example of beauty and law and order. But instead, it has become a showcase for violence, chaos, and homelessness. We have youth gangs roaming in mobs. We have armed robbers barely old enough to drive. Brutal beatings in broad daylight, and while families live in fear, the city's so-called leaders apply Band-Aids. Now, after years of rising crime, police handcuffed by political activists and public safety
given some of the rhetoric of the past, that we're totally surprised.
Okay, she knows that that's silly. She should just save everyone time and become a Republican. Now, the sad truth is, although certain crimes have declined from near all-time highs, that's meaningless when the overall violent crime rate in D.C. is worse than some of the most dangerous cities in the world. And here in the United States, according to the most recent data, D.C. ranks number one in the country for homicides. Now, things really began to spiral, as we might remember, post-George Floyd in the summer of love. That's when the D.C. Council passed the Comprehensive Policing and Justice Reform Amendment Act, banning certain control techniques, sharply restricting use of force, and piling on procedural hurdles for officers. Police at the time warned that that was going to make it difficult for police and nearly impossible in certain circumstances. And boy, were they right. Since these reforms